Jay Sekulow of the American Center for Law and Justice is one of the preeminent constitutional attorneys in the country. He's down in Nashville right now. Jay, what about the president? Does he have the authority to just say he won't defend certain laws are unconstitutional?
Well, you said it absolutely correctly. He's the president of the United States. He's not king. I mean, and he issued what's effectively a decree. In fact, the interesting aspect of this is in the statement that came out from the Department of Justice, Eric Holder says President Obama has determined that DOMA, the Defense of Marriage Act, is unconstitutional. To that, I wanted to say, so what? He's not a Supreme Court justice. He's not a U.S. District Court judge. And the idea that the president's making these pronouncements and then ordering the attorney general to not defend the law's constitutionality sets himself up pretty bad in this sense. So the next president comes in and he doesn't like Obamacare. So he orders his attorney general, you know, all these constitutional challenges against Obamacare. I don't think it's constitutional either, so I'm not going to defend it. You don't defend it either. That's not the way the government works. And the reality is this is a real violation of the Constitution.
Well, what does the Constitution say the duty of a president is?
Very clear. Article 2, Section 3 states, without question, the job of the president is to faithfully execute the laws of the United States. When you're executing a law of the United States, you enforce it. Look, this was a bill that was passed by wide bipartisan support. It was signed by then, as you mentioned, President Clinton. And it's the law of the land. And that's like a president coming in saying, I'm no longer going to enforce the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and 1965 because I don't think it's constitutional. That's not their role. They're supposed to faithfully execute the laws of the United States, make sure they're complied with. That's what the Department of Justice is supposed to be doing under his watch, and that's not what's happening here. This is cherry-picking the laws, and you don't get to do that in the United States. And this is, I think this issue, and I've been saying this, is much bigger than the whole debate on same-sex marriage. Absolutely. Anybody that's concerned with the Constitution and our republic should be very concerned that we're now living in a monarchy.
What can the Republicans or what can the people do?
Well, I'll tell you what's happening, and we're seeing a groundswell of support on this, and our office in Washington has been working very closely with leaders on Capitol Hill. In fact, at the NRB convention here in Nashville, that's concluding today, there's been a lot of discussion about this. I believe by the end of this week, we're going to see action from the House of Representatives to step in and defend the bill. But, Pat, here's what's troubling. It's great that the Speaker of the House is going to do that and Eric Cantor is going to do that. That's very good. I'm very encouraged. But what if the Speaker of the House was Nancy Pelosi? And she decided she wasn't going to have the House move on this issue. Then the president, by fiat, by decree, strikes the law as unconstitutional. That's the real crisis here. But the American people are speaking out, and I'm optimistic at the end of the day the law will be defended, and I think the law is constitutional. But again, no matter what your view is on the law, this is the law. We live under the rule of law, and that's the way it's supposed to work in the United States.
Jay, one last question about Great Britain. I know we have the European Center for Law and Justice.
Right.
What about these judges saying that Christianity will infect children and therefore these parents can't adopt a child?
Yeah, I'll tell you this is the issue here. By the way, as far as impeaching them, they're not elected there. It'd be an action of the House of Lords. But there is an animus, a bias within Great Britain's judiciary that is very negative towards Christianity and faith generally, except actually they give a pass to Islam. And you've seen that in a number of decisions. Now, that's changing. David Cameron, the Prime Minister, has been very clear about how he thinks this should be viewed. But the reality is there has been a bias. The good news is the European Court of Human Rights, by and large, and we have a number of our students from Regent University that are there in Strasbourg every summer where their European court sits. The European Court of Human Rights has been very good at protecting religious freedom of individuals and religious liberty. And I'm optimistic that these kind of cases, when challenged, and we've handled a lot of them, we get them successfully concluded. But these judges, you know, Pat, we had in the United States, remember about 20 years ago, one of the justices said, oh, the problem with posting the 10 Commandments in a school is students may study them and venerate them and respond positively to them. I mean, this is the reality of what we're dealing with. Now, we get those decisions reversed, and I'm sure that's ultimately religious freedom will prevail there, but it's going to take the will of the people of Great Britain and the European Court of Human Rights to do just that.
Are we going to be involved in an appeal? I mean, the judges have ruled. Is there an appeal from this ruling?
Well, this is it's at a lower court stage. They can go up to the House of Lords, and then it goes to Strasbourg. Now, we've got a lot of lawyers that we work with in England, many of which are involved with these cases. Interestingly, it's when it gets to Strasbourg is when the dynamics change, because the government then gets involved also, and when it gets to the higher levels of government, usually reason comes into play and you get these cases resolved. Most of the religious freedom cases coming out of Europe have been cases that the European Center for Law and Justice has handled. And as you know, Pat, you've been there, handled very successfully. We've had a great track record there, much like the United States. Very rare that the court goes against us on this. I'd be optimistic in a case like this as well.
Well, amen. Which that's hopeful. And for all of you in Great Britain, Jay and the boys will come to the rescue.
There you go.
All right, Terry.
Thanks, Pat.